I on. Okay. So, all right. Actually recording this live and make it into a video because I just don't really have the patience to edit anymore. Well, not at this time. Maybe one of these days. But I just wanted to come on here to just express what I have in mind lately. So yeah, so the title of my video is Have We Been Doom Scrolling Ourselves into Fear? And yes, I will be reading from my notes because a short pen is better than a long memory. And I just do not have this headspace to memorize or do whatever. But yeah, so here we go. So sometimes I wonder if social media has made us lose our sense of proportion. A single violent incident happens somewhere in the world, then the algorithm or the social media algorithm feeds you 50 more clips just like it. And it's really annoying personally because I would be scrolling, let's just say Instagram. I will be scrolling Instagram, and then just because I saw a funny video, even if I did not heart it or do anything, I never interacted with it. The next time I would log in, I will see the same format or more funny videos that I do not really have the time for or not really looking for. So, and that's what's going on now. Let me go back to what I was trying to say. So, a single violent incident happens somewhere in the world. So, different countries, different people, different situation. But after hours of consuming that content, your brain starts connecting everything into one giant narrative. And that what makes me really off a lot of time because that's when fear starts feeling like truth. It distorts reality. Now that's part of the reason why I have been distancing myself from more and more nonstop news and social media lately. I have a lot of social media accounts that I have not logged in a very long time. I have not used. I have a lot of ideas that I would like to post, but I'm just not, anytime I would log on TikTok, the moment I do, something pops up and it just I lose my interest. And also, not because I suddenly stopped caring around the world and not because I want to stay ignorant. It's actually the opposite. I I'm going to share this. So I remember feeling very strong about this during 9/11, and I know it's a long time ago, but at the time, my son was he was probably 2, 3 years old, my children were very young at that time. And I remember constantly seeing the footage of the buildings collapsing over and over on cable TV. And every channel was talking about terrorism, the Middle East, war, fear, uncertainty, the market collapsing, and everything. And because it was everywhere at the time, it genuinely started feeling like the world was ending. And looking back now, I realize it wasn't just the tragedy itself that's affecting me or us emotionally. It was also the nonstop exposure to it. Why? Because it sells. Yeah, that's how. Because what do you call that? Those kind of shows or content sells. And I think social media today has amplified that feeling even more because now, instead of watching one major event unfold on television, we carry an endless stream of fear, outrage, violence, and crisis crisis in our pockets every single day. And because if you spend enough time online, eventually it will start feeling like the world is collapsing everywhere all at once. I know I've mentioned that, or forgive me if I keep going over what I already said. Now, every scroll is another fight, another crime, another political disaster, another outrage, and another "this country is doomed" headline. And after a while, I started asking myself, and I because Emma, or I started asking myself if am I actually seeing the world clearly anymore? Or am I just seeing the most extreme moments repeated over and over until they start feeling normal? Because social media doesn't really reward balance, it rewards emotion, fear, anger, shock, conflict. And that's the kind of content that people keep watching. And and I noticed it happening to me too. So what I so circling back to what I said earlier. So I'd watch one negative video, then suddenly my entire feed becomes more negative. One political clip turns into 10. One crime video turns into an entire narrative about society. And the scary part is that after enough exposure, your brain stops treating these things like isolated incidents. It starts stitching everything together into one giant picture of reality. And I think that's why so many people online feel emotionally exhausted right now. And I also mentioned this in my other video about where I touched on the topic of are Filipinos stupid or they lack critical thinking, because people are exhausted every day, the day in and day out. You are bombarded with negative things, and we're constantly and then also socially or in social media, we're constantly plugged into humanity's worst moments. So it's not ordinary life, not quiet moments, not the millions of normal interactions happening every single day. So what do we see? Just outrage, just conflict, just fear. And I don't think our brains were built to consume that much negativity 24/7. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the world has no problems. Of course, I'm not that deluded or my reality is not that distorted, because obviously it does. And there are real issues happening everywhere. We have crimes, corruption, economic struggle, political division, social tension, extremism, propaganda, and manipulation. And these things are real. But I also think that social media has created an environment where people slowly lose their sense of proportion, because when you constantly consume extreme content, eventually everything starts looking catastrophic. And I noticed something else too. The more the more emotionally charged the content is, the more certain people sound. Everything becomes black and white, good versus evil, us versus them. This group is destroying society, that group is brainwashed, that country is finished, and that country is collapsing. And honestly, I think certainty is comforting for people, and the world is complicated. Reality is complicated. Human beings are complicated. But online complexity doesn't perform well. Simple emotional narratives do. That's why I have been stepping back more and more from constantly consuming news and political content because I don't want my entire worldview to be shaped by algorithms whose job is to keep me emotionally engaged. And yes, of course, I still want to or I still want to stay informed. I still think it's important to know what's happening in the world, of course. But I also want to protect my ability to think clearly. And I think that balance is becoming harder and harder to maintain, especially online. Sometimes I wonder how many of us are no longer reacting to reality itself, but to a reality that has been emotionally curated for us by social media feeds. A reality built from the most extreme clips, the loudest voices, and the most emotionally charged headlines. And maybe that's why so many people feel, or so many people nowadays feel more anxious, angry, fearful, or hopeless all the time now, as compared to people from before or our lifestyle from before. Because when all you consume is crisis after crisis, eventually your nervous system starts believing the entire world is on fire. Now, I don't really have a perfect conclusion here. I'm still figuring things out myself, or I'm still figuring this out myself. But this I know for sure. I don't want to live in a permanent state of outrage. I don't want fear to become my entire understanding of humanity. And I don't want algorithms or deciding how I see the world. So lately, I have been trying to step back, consume slower, think slower, react slower. And honestly, I think my mind has been a lot quieter because of that. And yeah, so that's just what I wanted to point out or express my viewpoint. And how about you? At what point does consuming too much outrage online stop informing us and start psychologically reshaping how we see the world? What do you think?